Okay, we're going to be using our Freedom program here where we can type in a command and get the system to do what we would like. So we are going to start by going into our system settings. We're going to go down to our Freedom, set it to COM on direct, and we're going to assign. So from here, it should be opened up now. And from this, we can now type in a command that is going to get our course to do what we want. So in this case, we're going to turn the system on by going hashtag or #1. And then we're going to go to hole 12. In our areas, we're going to go with the greens. And it's going to be on all, so it'll default go to all stations. And we're just going to put 10 minutes for time. That should send the system in. And as you can see, we have it activated, so we are now watering our 12th green for 10 minutes.
Okay, so now we are going to set up some smart alarms. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to this little weather icon here, and there will be a bell on the top left-hand corner. We're going to click on the bell. This is where you can customize any alarms that you want to set. So we're going to make a custom alarm for one of our greens to pause when the wind conditions are greater than 20-mile-per-hour winds. And we're going to have another alarm that resumes the 16th green when the wind dies down. So we're going to click add here. We're going to name this one. There's a drop down. We're going to just call it high wind number 1. And the comment is going to be 20 miles per hour. And then this is where, so if you do reach 20 miles per hour, what do you want to happen? So in this case scenario, we want it to interrupt, which is another way just to say it's pausing. And then here we can go over, click the downward arrow. This is the map that we're on, and then now we select the program. So we want, the program is our 16th green is the one we want to, that we want to interrupt the watering. So we're gonna hit the back greens and then the schedule on the 16th hole. Then we'll press OK. So that just set up that the irrigation will shut off or it'll pause when the winds hit 20 miles per hour. So now before I show you exactly how it's going to happen, we're going to set up another one so it will resume when the winds die down. Okay, so we're going to go to the high wind 1 again. We're going to say, we're going to call this one less than 20 miles per hour. Oops. And then if condition, we're going to go down to reset. So this will reset it and it will resume. We're going to go down here, we're going to click resume, and same thing, we're going to go and we're going to find the 16th green. Press OK. So now we want to see if this is going to function correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our programs, or we'll cancel out of this first. Go to your programs, and we are going to push play on our back greens. So we're just going to see how this runs here. We're going to press play. So it's going to initiate flow now. We're going to go to our monitor log, and you can see that all of our back greens are going, and now we're going to pull back up our little alarm here, and what we're going to do is we're going to simulate what would happen if the wind reached 20 kilometers an hour, or 20 miles per hour, sorry. So as you can see over here, now our irrigation has stopped on the 16th hole. And if we want to simulate the fact that the wind has died down, we're going to go down to high wind reset. And now you'll see that we again have flow to our 16th green. Okay, so now we're going to set another alarm based on how much rainfall we're going to get. So we have our current alarms here. We're just going to add one more, and we're going to put this one under rainfall 1. So if we get more than half of an inch of rain, we want the system to shut down. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put it in the comments here, ½ inch, and I'm just going to call it shutdown. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here, do what? We want the whole system to interrupt. And then we're going to go select a program, and we're just going to press all, and that will, the whole system will shut down. So here's what we're going to do. You can see the monitor log is behind me here. We're going to go start our program of just running the whole course, just so I can show you what would happen if we did get that rainfall. So you can see all of our greens here are turned on, and they're all receiving water. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to our little alarm bell here. You can see we have the rainfall under rainfall 1. We're going to go to the top. We're going to select what condition we want to simulate, and we're going to scroll down until we hit rainfall 1. And as you can see, it shut everything down, not just certain holes, but everything that we had open, it shuts down the whole system. So to reverse that, we're going to add, again, we're going to go down to rainfall 1, and we're going to hit the reset. So this will reset it if it reaches the right, if it's not ½ of an inch of rainfall. And then so we're going to go to system resume. So it will resume the whole system. We're going to go down to program all. And then now, again, you can see our monitor log in the background. So I'm just going to simulate the rainfall 1 reset, and it should turn all the irrigation program back on. Okay, and we can also pause the irrigation system if we want to add another alarm if the rain intensity is above 3 inches per hour. So again, we're going to go add. There is a drop down here for rainfall intensity. We're going to click on that, and it's we want the system to pause when it's above 3 inches per hour. So I'm just going to put in the comments 3 inch per hour, just so we can remember what our shutdown is. And then we want, again, the whole system we want to interrupt. So we're just going to go all, program, all, okay. And so if we want to simulate what would happen if we had rainfall intensity, we can just click here, and again, it will shut everything off. So you can pretty much make these alarms for any sort of weather condition that you want to pause your whole irrigation operation. So we're going to go down to rainfall intensity again, and again we want to go down to the reset, and then we want the system to resume. And if we want just to prove that that works, we can go and simulate the rainfall intensity reset, and it should fire everything back up that we had running. And that is just a brief little rundown of how the smart alarms work.
All right, so I'm going to be showing you how to run a program based off of ET, which is the evapotranspiration rate. So we're going to be doing it on the front and back tees. So I have the icon selected. We have our rate, default ET rate of 0.25 inches. So that will be what the data compares to each day. So in a normal system, it's going to be collecting rain, it's going to be on solar and wind. Everything will have a factor to this number. So that's what we're going to be watering the difference from. So we are going to go into a dry run. Oh, first I'll show you how, why. So we'll go into the station details. you go into the default data settings, into our rotors, and you'll notice with the T's here, we have this data filled out for the precipitation rate. So that happens by selecting your table, which is you're going to have in here, which is the table you filled out from this section. And you'll see that we have the full circle heads. We put in our spacing from a chart that we accessed for the rainbird heads. This info will normally fill itself out by selecting your head, and then it will have all the information already inputted in here. So we've already done, oh, I will change that. We have the 700, and we're going to click there. So see we have 0.41 inches an hour. I will get out of this. I'll just go into a dry run. And you'll see that our heads have ran past that a normal amount, so you'll see that it's affected here. This 37 is, so that'll be 0.25 for the default, 0.25 of 0.41, which is the rotor precipitation rate. So if we change that on here, for the 0.25 to 0.1, you'll see, that drops down way below here. So we'll go back to the 2.5, and that is how we can run it off the ET. It's just making a change each time. These are all red because it just goes to the default time since there's no precipitation data tied to those areas.
Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to use ET to set your ET to a certain amount, and then you'll be able to know how long your areas were running while only watering for that amount of irrigation. So what you're going to want to do here is we're going to go for 0.25. That's in your default ET. You can change that right here. So it was already 0.25. We'll leave it there. You can change it to whatever you want, but for this question, we're trying to figure out how long each area will run at 0.25 inches. So that's where we'll leave that. And you'll see it shows up there, still at 0.25. So the next thing we're going to do is make sure when we come into programs, we're going to have them all on, and we're going to have them all running on ET here. Because for all of our areas, so our rough, fairways, tees, greens, and approaches. Okay, so now that everything's running based on ET instead of our default runtime, we will exit out of here. We'll go for our dry run. Everything's right, press play. Now we'll come over here and look at this. So here you can see everything's changed. It's not our default runtime anymore of 10 minutes. So we look at all that, and that's good. And if for extra reassurance, we go to precip in inches per hour, and that is exactly where all of ours were set for. So that worked out really well.
Okay, so now we are going to go create a high dry program for our greens. So we know that the back two heads on every green suffer from dry conditions, and we want to water with these two heads for 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into programs, and this can be done two ways. You can do it on the map portion of the software, or you can build a program on the schedule detail window here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go and we're going to add, and we're going to call this high dry front 9. So we're going to do this for the front and the back. So we're just going to add another one, call it the same thing, high dry back 9. Okay, so once we have that set up, we're going to click on this and we're going to go to the schedule. So this is where you are going to input the greens. So we're just going to add, because we're doing the 9 greens on the front, we're just going to add 9 different sequences here. and I'll just show you how to do the first couple. We're going to call this one green 1, and then we're going to hover over this, and it's going to say station sequence, and we're going to click on this. Again, we're going to add, and the area is going to be 1G. And we're going to go over here. We're going to add 2 because, like I said, we're doing the 2 back sprinklers on each green. So we know that we can just go 1 green, and then it's station 2 is one of the back ones, and then the next one is station 3. And then we can go back to the program here, and we'll do the same for all of these. So now that I have finished the inputting the programs here, I'm going to show you I have the first program is the front 9, and I can go into it a little bit farther, show all of the front 9 greens, and I can click on any of them, and it will show me the area, so the first green and the 2 irrigation heads that I have on, and the runtime for that sequence, and the same thing with the back 9. We can go do the same thing. We have all the back 9 greens here. We can click on, say, green 18 and go to the sequence. So the area is 18 green with the stations 2 and 3 and the runtime of 10 minutes. So to see how this works, we can just highlight the front 9. We can press play. And as you can see on the top here, it is showing that there is flow to these areas. So we can go to the map, and you can see all these little red specs here are showing that there is flow to those irrigation heads. So if I zoom in a little bit closer, you can see that these 2 irrigation heads have water flowing to them.
Okay, so this part of the design of program is going to require watering all of the back 9 fairways. However, they're going to be done in reverse order from greens to tees. The caveat with this is we're going to want to have holes 17 and 18 watered every 3rd night. So we're going to go in here, and I'm going to create a program based off of the map. So I want to move into hole number 10 here. And there we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to add a program. Oh, first off, add a program. We're going to name this the back 9 fairways in reverse. And we're going to do this in the standard build. Now we want to add a schedule to that. And we're going to go hole 10, and by station, click OK. And then basically we're going to go from the greens backwards, so just select these stations on your way back to the tee. Just like that. And then we want to add another new schedule back into this program. We're going to make this hole 11 by station. Once again, from the green backwards. And we'll go back, highlight the program, add a schedule, and we'll carry on doing this now through to hole 16. Okay, so now that's all complete. We go back from here, go into our program details. You can see that we've created one for the entire back 9 holes 10 through 16 and one for 17 and 18. So while we're on this screen, what we'll do is we'll select hole 17 and 18 and set it to water every 3 days. Select your skip days, go every 3 days. If you'd like it to start today, you'd leave this at 0. If you want to start tomorrow, you'd set it at 1, for example. Clicking OK verifies that. So now we'll go into the next screen. And here you can see here's our holes 10 through 16. By entering them all in individually, it gives you the ability to change their water budget as necessary. You can do this at any time, set it to whatever you need it to be. So one of the last things we want to make sure before we do some runs here is making sure we have our options set properly on these two programs. Because we're going to be running backwards from greens to tees, we want to make sure that sequential and forced progression are both checked off here. This way it follows the order that we selected the stations to go when we were working off the map and building the programs. Once that's complete, we can close this and we're going to pull up the map and we're going to highlight this program, for example, and we're going to click start. And you can see we have flow happening now. And down here at the green side, we have some heads going off. Same with here on hole 16 and the other holes. If we click advance, give it a second here. Now you can see it's moved to the next set of heads as it goes in reverse order. We can keep doing that just to prove that it is going in that order from greens to tees. So if we stop that now, we can verify as well for the same thing on these two holes 17 and 18. There's our water flow starting. There's those two closest to the green on 17 and here on 18. Click advance in the program and it should switch now. There we go. Those two are running. Those two are running. So everything's working correct there. We can stop that and we should be good. Like I said, everything else is set up. We've gone in, everything's sequential, everything's been set up for holes 17 and 18 to run every third night. We should be good for this part of the design of the program.
Okay, we're going to show you how to run your program while only running certain areas while keeping some areas off. So while watering the whole golf course for the default time, shut off the following areas. For greens 2, 5, 7, 14, and 18, tees 3, 5, 8, 13, 17, and approaches 1, 2, 5, 6, 12, and 14, so that they will not run with the other areas. So that being said, we're going to want to go in. We're going to start with our greens. We'll click greens. You're going to go to the second level. And now here where it says on, you can select which greens you want on and off. So we're going to shut off 2, 5, 7. Now we'll have to go back out and then click the back 9 greens and go back in with that button and click the remaining greens 14 and 18. Now we're going to go back out. We're going to do that again with our tees. So we'll start with our front 9 tees. I'm going to go back in. We're going to 3, 5, and 8. We're going to go back out. Go to our back 9 tees. We're going to select 13 and 17. You have to highlight the cell first and then click the box for it to actually click. Now we're going to go back out And lastly, do our approaches. Start with 1, 2, 5, and 6. One, 2, 5, and 6. Go back out, go back 9s, and finish with 12 and 14. Now, once that's completed, you can go out of there, and now all these are checked off, but individually, certain holes will not be watered. And to prove that that works, we'll go out and we'll run a dry run. So you'll click that, make sure your time is correct to what your watering schedule is. And now we'll press play. And in the field while they're running, these will not be select holes, tees, fairways, greens, and roughs will not be on while you water. Now, I'm going to show you another way to do it. First, we have to go back into programs and turn all these back on. I'm going to go back in, select them all again. Bear with me, it takes a while.
That's why if you maybe haven't noticed yet, but if I'm talking to you, I might lean a bit while I look at you more with my right eye. Even though this is my dominant eye, I use this for
Now,
the test is
so you,
like this.
once we're done checking these off, we can actually go into, so just for example sakes, we're gonna put on our front 9 greens. So press play up here. Now we can go back into our map here, and you'll see that we have certain greens running. Now, if you want some greens to not come on, quite simply, you right click, press cancel, and now that one is not highlighted anymore, which means that one will not run. The other couple we had, I'll show you another way. You, instead of right clicking, you can highlight it just by normal clicking and come over here and press cancel over here. And you go down to the next one, that one won't be running. Go and press cancel again. Now, once this whole cycle runs through, those greens will not have ran. It's just another way to do it. All preference. Yeah. And same thing, it doesn't have to just be individual. You can cancel the whole front. Come on. And now you'll see that there's absolutely nothing running. Take a while to show up on the map that nothing's running, but now, as you can see, everything's off, and yeah, you'll be good.
All right, so for one of our other projects or questions to complete is how to create a program that gets run once and then disappears. And in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go down to this simple IRR button, and we will create a program by clicking here, and then you can name it, select the areas that you want to syringe, and in this case we want to syringe the entire course for 3 minutes. So we can enter in all this information, and then we can set our start time. So for this process we're going to just base it off of a 1 minute program. So we'll go for 10:31. One time only. Save that. So in this case here, if you want to see the program, you click on the clock here, simple IRR events, and here it shows here's our program with our start time. So it's going to start here in approximately 5 seconds. There we go. You can see that there's water flow now. We'll wait 1 minute, and the next time I pull up this window, the program should be gone. So while we're waiting for it to run, like I said, it's just a reminder. Create your program, you name it, select the areas you want to water. You can either do full nines or you can select specific holes. The specific areas, greens, tees, fairways, approaches, perimeters, rough, and then setting your time. As soon as you click to set your start time, you have this option again, one time only, and you just do it from there. Alright, we're getting close to the time here when this program should be done. So in 5 seconds we should see our flow start ramping down. And then if I go back up here, the program has now disappeared. This is handy for those quick programs that you just want to run, but you have no intent of repeating. And that should be it for that part. Thank you.
So I'm trying to figure out how much sand would be required to fill all the bunkers on your course. To find the area for your bunkers, the course that we mapped out was mapped out to scale using meters, so it's super easy. You just click this compass here, go to map utilities. You want to make sure that your units are correct, so the map units, like I said, it was mapped out in meters, and we want to display the square footage, so feet and square feet. Okay, and then to get the total area of your bunkers, you just right click on the bunkers and hit select all, and you'll get a total selected area. You can see here it's mapped out every bunker on the course, and we got 182,295 square feet. And then how much sand would be required to fill that? A depth of 12 inches or 1 foot. You literally would just times 182,295 feet squared by 1 to get the feet cubed, and that's how much sand you would order. 182,295 feet cubed of sand. The next question is, what is the capacity of the two most southeasterly ponds, assuming a uniform depth of 10 feet? And so same thing, here you just deselect the bunkers, and then you can select the two southeast ponds here, and they give you a total selected area of 254,216 square feet. And then at a depth of 10, you just times that number by 10 to get 2,542,160 feet cubed. And then now we're trying to figure out that, assuming that you can't refill the ponds, how many days capacity do the ponds have if the course is watered every night for a default of 15 minutes on every sprinkler. So first thing I did was converted 2,542,160 feet cubed into gallons, which is you approximately times it by 9.5. I just found this conversion on Google, and you get 19,016,677 gallons. Then we're going to go back into our program. We're going to check out our programs. We have every sprinkler turned on, they're all running, and for 15 minutes. So we're going to get out of here, and then we're going to do a dry run to see how many gallons we use in a day. Which is the capacity of your two ponds. divided by the 416,000 gallons used per day. And so if you watered every day for a total of 15 minutes using every sprinkler, you'd be able to water for 45.7 days before you ran out of water, or 45 days before you wouldn't be able to cover a full another day.